Peace. I'm glad you could tune in. My name is Alicia Jefferson. This is Self Centered Wellness, and I'll be with you for the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Today is Sunday, and it is a Spotlight Sunday. So I'd like to share with you the words, the work of Sam Williams. It's a Spotlight Sunday, and today I am spotlighting community activist, community servant, Sam Williams. His works, his practice, and how we might be able to benefit from some of the practices that have benefited his life in regards to mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, and spiritual wellness. So let's get into it. With us now, we have longtime meditation practitioner, group meditation instructor and facilitator, and yoga instructor, Sam Williams. It's a pleasure and an honor. From my understanding, I would call you a community activist, a community servant, because you have chosen to share with the community at large information that you have benefited from, lifestyle practices that you have benefited from. So I consider you a community activist, a community servant, Mr. Sam Williams. So if you can just briefly share with us just some things that have put you on the path of wellness. Not just yet. We'll eventually get into what I would like for you to address. 3 practices that have been significant for you in terms of mental health and mental wellness and emotional wellness. So 3 practices I'd like for us to kind of get into a brief discussion around that. But before we do, if you can share with us, what are some things, what was a thing, the thing, or some things that put you on the path of wellness?
Yeah, there's so many things. There's so many factors. I would say I grew up in Boston. I live in Boston, Massachusetts. I would say my early childhood upbringing, there were a lot of I would say both challenges and tragedies, not having met my dad, not having a dad, and then venturing into a lot of lifestyles and behaviors that drew me into substance abuse, that drew me into the streets, that eventually landed me in prison. And so I spent about close to 14 years in prison. And that was both tragic, devastating, and psychologically and emotionally debilitating in every way possible.
Of course.
I didn't know self. I didn't know mind. I didn't know body. Actually, I didn't know purpose. And so I was stuck on a lot of different levels.
Yes.
I was incarcerated in myself before I ever got introduced to the physical incarceration of prison.
Wow.
I didn't understand it.
Thank you so much, Sam. I get it where you said so many facets have led you to the path of wellness. Incarceration, so many people, and it's something, the way you put it was beautiful. Incarcerated within the American prison system, but even more so incarcerated within yourself because you didn't know yourself, as you say, on so many levels. Beautiful. And that is the state and the condition of so many people. And your work that you do in the community is an avenue that so many people are not familiar with, and even fearful of, because they don't, ignorance brings about fear sometimes, so they're not aware of. But you have lived your life as a model and are sharing practices that have helped you get on the path to wellness, maintain wellness within your own life now that you do know self. So, like I said, I would like for you to share with us, I say, 3 practices that have been significant for your mental wellness, emotional wellness. I'll add, as you did, physical wellness and even spiritual wellness. And things that I do know of, we spoke briefly before our recording. Now, you mentioned yoga, you mentioned fasting, and you mentioned meditation.
Yes.
So you can grab hold it and go on, Sam, and share with us from any 3 that you'd like to start with. Any of those 3.
Okay, so I'd probably start with fasting only because it's what I've been doing the longest. So I've been fasting for about 32 years, and I've been out of the criminal justice system for 26 years. But I started fasting when I was on the inside. And again, I didn't understand the value of fasting. I think when I first did it, it was really, I was a practicing Muslim. It's a requirement in Islam. And what I really loved about it back then was that it was the first time in my life that I realized that I can control my mind, control my body. I didn't have to eat even though I was hungry. But I also realized while fasting, you know, your body goes through a lot of changes. The Islamic fast, you can't eat or drink during the daylight savings hours. So you eat a little in the morning, sunlight to sunset, no water, no food. So your body goes to kind of dehydration cycles. You know, in the morning, you might have energy, but by like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, your body is kind of feeding off of the food you might have ate the day before because but what I also really loved about it is the clarity. It's just a sense of clarity, a sense of heightened insight. And I was like, my mind just got sharper. My ability to see things just got more clearer. And again, at the time when I first started doing this, I was in prison, right? And so, and I just continued to practice it. Today,
I want to hop in. I want to hop in real quick,
go ahead.
if you can. For us, you say fasting. Were you fasting for a week straight, a day? You know, how did you deal with far as length of time?
It was I was practicing the Islamic fast, so it's a 30-day fast. No eating or drinking during the daylight savings hour, a small poor man meal or poor man or woman's meal in the morning, and then a small meal at dinner. And again, it's in prison. It was hard. I never did it before. I was trying to observe the faith. But after coming out of it the first time, it was just transformative. I loved the clarity. I loved the higher intellectual insight I got during the month. And I loved the ability to want to eat, but to know how, but knew that I was able to control myself. And it was the first time in my life that I realized I had this power, that this power existed in me, right? And fast forward, I can tell you today, it's been 32 years fasting, and I haven't had a medical, physical condition in 3 decades. And so as time went on, I started to realize the benefits of fasting as it relates to the body. In America, when we eat 3 meals a day, oftentimes, depending on what you eat in breakfast, might not be digested and absorbed by lunch. Okay. So if you're eating breakfast and you eat breakfast, and then at lunch, you still have food in your body being processed. By lunch, your small intestines, large intestines are working overtime. And then some foods take 6 to 7 to 10 hours to break down in your body. So you can be eating dinner and still have undigested food from breakfast and from lunch. Right. So what fasting does, I understand today, it gives the body a break. It gives the organs a break. So if you fast for 8 to 9 hours during the day, right? Your body is not working. Your digestion, your digestion, your small intestine, which is really critical in absorbing nutrients and discarding waste. Those organs that do all that work are not being overwhelmed. So you can imagine someone who their entire life, right? They're eating these 3 meals a day. Their
For
organs
years.
their organs have been overwhelmed for
Mm,
years. And
mm,
that's where a
mm.
lot of the medical conditions and challenges. So as I started to come into this knowledge and this understanding, I was like, this is the way to go. So fasting is a part of who I am. Sometimes I do juice fast, sometimes I do
Okay.
water fast.
Okay.
Other times, once or twice a year, I do the 30-day fast,
Okay.
right? So I mix it up, but I continue to just fast periodically through the year so that when I do the 30-day fast, I'm not shocking my body.
Okay.
And my
Okay.
body is used to it. So that's one of the tools that I want to believe has kept me healthy, kept me through the COVID, Delta
30 plus years, I
virus,
imagine so.
and again, no medical symptoms or conditions in over 30 plus years.
Wow. Wow. What a testament. What a testament and a model. I jokingly said to you, but I'm pretty serious. You glow, and I'm sure as you walk about the town, you are a shining light, to protect yourself that way, prevent illnesses that way, and to build yourself. You said mental clarity, control, self-control, emotional control, control of what you're eating, when you're eating. That's major. That's major. A lot of us eat for comfort, eat out of, based on emotion, so to have that control over yourself around food is huge. And you broke it down scientifically as far as the digestive system and what we're doing when we're eating 3 meals a day or big meals and not giving our internal organs time to really, break it down and move it around as it should. Again, this is Spotlight Sunday, and I have here our guest is Sam Williams, and he's sharing with us 3 practices that have been significant in his life, regarding mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, and spiritual wellness. And he just shared with us his practice of fasting for over 30 plus years. Sam, I'd like for you, if you can, share a bit with us on your practice of yoga or meditation. Either one you want to touch on first is fine.
Yeah. So meditation, I started practicing meditation maybe about 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized at that point, again, I'm home from prison, I'm working professionally, financially, things are good. I've taken back control of my life. So things were good, but I still felt tension in my body.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. I thought I silenced that.
I still felt a lot of tension in my body. Oftentimes when things, didn't go the right way, I would easily get, frustrated and I was always worrying. There was always this worry. There was always this impending doom. So I decided to try meditation. I didn't know a whole lot about it. I did learn that, it helps to quiet the mind, quiet the thoughts. And I needed an avenue to quiet the mind, quiet the thoughts. So I started practicing it. I felt like it was at least helping me to feel a little calmer, but I would only use it when there was either drama, when there was problems, when I was dealing with life challenges. And so it was like one of those things I only used when I needed it.
Crisis.
Yeah. And what I started to realize particularly is the more I continued to practice regularly, and the more I started to dig deeper into understanding how it impacts the body and all the science behind it, it completely kind of revolutionized my understanding for all that it does. Breathing, um, just breaking down the human body real quickly. 65% of the human body is made up of oxygen,
That's right.
and oxygen is converted through the air that we breathe in.
Hmm.
So we breathe air in, we convert that air into oxygen. That oxygen then feeds the cells,
Hmm.
right? And so the more I started to understand and learn that inhaling and exhaling was a way to, feed the cells, to help create more energy in the body, and even more deeply to help to address and reduce stuff like anxiety, depression, lower conditions of heart rate conditions,
Hmm.
depression. The more it started to become a practice that I wanted to delve more deeply into.
Hmm.
Um, there are these two nerves in our brains, which is called the sympathetic nerve and the parasympathetic nerves. These two nerves are under what's called the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system is the way that we react to stress and any drama in our lives,
Okay.
the flight and flight, the
Okay.
fight
Okay.
and flight kind
Okay.
of system. But the only way that you can truly control the autonomic nervous system is through breathing. So
Mm.
when you inhale deeply, you're triggering the sympathetic nervous system. When you exhale slowly, you're triggering the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is the system that calms the body down, that brings you into a relaxed state. And
Mm.
why that's critical is because stress and trauma and all these things that go on in the body are driven by the central nervous system, which then triggers a part of the brain, which is called the amygdala. And the
Hmm.
amygdala is your alarm center. So anything that triggers fear, anxiety, that's the amygdala.
Okay.
Through inhaling and exhaling, you can control the amygdala,
Mm.
you can control your central nervous system from being hijacked. And so the more I started realizing, again, like meditation, here's another way that I can control me. I can control reactions, I can control moods, I can control behaviors. And I'm also at the same time naturally feeding, the body. And we know that oxygen and air is what really allows us to have the type of energy required to take care of business in life.
Mm.
So meditation has become a daily practice, and it's one of those three practices that I would believe have revolutionized my heart, my mind, and my human spirit as a being on this planet.
I hear that. I heard that. Okay. I want to ask you this. Um, with meditation, because some people say it's having no thoughts. Some people say you have to sit for 45 minutes. Is there a time frame that works best for you? How long you might sit in meditative state? And are you trying to get rid of all your thoughts while you're sitting?
That's an excellent question. So I just finished a meditation teacher certification with this agency called Instinctive Meditation.
Okay.
And what instinctive meditation basically teaches you that there's no actual way to meditate, that the human body already knows how to meditate,
Mm.
right? So unlike other practices where it's about controlling the mind, following the mind, in instinctive meditation, you welcome thoughts. You They talk about having these 112 pathways. So there are many pathways. You tap into the senses, so all of your senses, and that there's no requirement in how you sit, stand, lay. Unlike certain meditation
Mm-hmm,
practice,
mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm,
require you to sit a
mm-hmm,
certain way, to
mm-hmm,
breathe a certain
mm-hmm.
way. So I would say there is no actual um, one way to meditate. I think
Okay.
what's critical to meditation is the inhaling and the exhaling.
Instinctive meditation where you don't have to sit in the lotus pose. and you don't have to sit for 45 minutes or 3 hours to experience the benefits of meditation. Um, with that, before we get into a brief touch on the practice of yoga and how that's been beneficial to your mental health, emotional wellness, such, I'd like for you, if you would, um, if you don't, I will. But what I like to do on my episodes, Sam, is to take 3 deep breaths. At some point,
Oh,
I
yeah.
ask that the listener or viewer, if they're on YouTube, to pause and to breathe with me. Just 3 breaths. So if you're okay with that, can you take us through 3 breaths?
Okay. All right. So we'll do 3 breathing cycles. And again, get comfortable. And that means whatever feels right for you, sitting in a chair, on the couch, on the bed. You can put your palms of your hands on your knees if that feels comfortable. You can also keep your eyes open, or you can keep them closed. And we'll just begin by inhaling deeply through the nose and exhaling slowly through the nose. And we'll do that again, inhaling deeply through the nose and exhaling slowly through the nose. We'll do that one more time, inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly. And I invite you to open back up your eyes, and even 3 breaths, if you do it in a very concentrated way, you feel the benefits.
Thank you so much. I like to take 3 deep breaths during an episode. So that was so timely, so beneficial as well. So your practice of yoga, take us down that path, a brief.
So I actually got into yoga only 7 years ago. But one of the things that intrigued me about yoga is I realized when I started looking into it that yoga had an element of meditation, right? So that when you are doing the different yoga poses, you have to synchronize the breathing with the movement. And to synchronize the breathing with the movement, it requires concentration. And I started to realize, man, there's a lot of similar benefits that I get in yoga that I get in meditation, in addition to strengthening my muscles, in addition to helping to increase my blood flow and blood circulation, in addition to increasing my heart rate. Yoga helps to reduce stress, when we're doing certain poses. And I think I said I'm also a certified yoga instructor. And it's funny, when I got trained as a certified yoga instructor, they were so anal about alignment and alignment and cueing and transition, so that when I did the instinctive meditation, it was completely opposite. Instinctive meditation said there's no alignment, there's no cueing, there's none of that. You just let your body flow because your body already knows how
Trust
to
your body, huh?
trust your body naturally. But there's a lot of similar benefits, particularly being older, right? And most people have issues with lower back pain, the lumbar area of the back, and a lot of it is because of posture, how we sit, how we sit, how we drive in our vehicles, sometimes how we sleep. So I've learned that through my yoga practice that we should be moving our spine. There's some places where I read there's 8 movements of the spine. There's some places that I read that there's 6 movements of the spine. But we should be moving our spine daily. And examples of moving the spine is, so obviously when you bend forward, You're moving the spine forward. That's called the forward fold.
Okay.
There's another pose where when you can arch your spine the opposite way. So you're moving the spine in an opposite way. That's two movements of the spine. You can twist to the left. That's another movement of the spine. You can twist to the right. That's the fourth movement of the spine. And then a body stretch where you lift your arm and you're reaching to the left. That's another movement of the spine. And then movement of the spine in an opposite direction. And so the spinal movement is critical to bodily imbalance. It's critical to, as you get older, when we're not moving the hips, when we're not moving the different joints. There's this thing within our system. It's called synovial fluid. And synovial fluid is almost kind of similar to like, oil when you
Yes.
want to things that squeak. Our bodies create synovial fluid in our different joints,
In our
in our
joints,
back, in our hips, and so part of why
elbow, right?
part of why it's important to move regularly is because the body is creating synovial fluid when we're moving regularly. You don't move as much, your body's not creating synovial fluid. When the body's not creating synovial fluid, over time, that area stiffens and it becomes, and that's where a lot of the arthritis, that's where a lot of the joint pain comes into play. So you can imagine as you get older and you're less active and you're not moving as many muscles in your body, especially the key ones like the hips, the lower back, the elbows, the shoulders, right? That synovial fluid is not being generated. And oftentimes that's where you find a lot of the medical bodily conditions that people have, the hip issues, the knee issues, the elbow issues, the shoulder, particularly the lower back issues in regards to that lumbar area. So movement in yoga, outside of like people make it to be this athleticism that you have to. I practice yoga where it's not about in a lot of ways even following the instructor. It's honoring your body, moving your body in whatever works for you. So you can't go all the way down to the floor, it's all good. You honor as far as your body allows you to go. So there's the physical, which I just described, and then all the mental, emotional, where the trauma, the stress, all of the things that come along with the emotional states. So it's been, those three practices have been revolutionary in my life.
This is revolutionary, just getting this information. You mentioned this fluid, synovial fluid, you said? Now, when this fluid is not being produced, is it bone on bone, bone rubbing against bone, or joint rubbing against joint, no lubrication? Is that what's happening?
That area becomes over time stiff. And a lot of times that's where a lot of the pain, and most likely I think it's where inflammation, because what arthritis is the body responding to inflammation. So arthritis is a form of inflammation in your body. And so when that fluid is either lessened or to some degree non-existent, that's where arthritis, joint pain, and a lot of the physical movement that people used to be able to do when they were younger, right? Because if you think about young people, they're constantly moving, right? Playground, basketball, football, double dutch, whatever it is, right? And then as you get older, you stop doing some of those things, and then you start.
As teens, we probably danced. As young adults, we danced more. We get older, and think we should start
riding the bike, doing explorations that you're not supposed to be doing, and parents are not aware of. And so as you get older, we're sitting more at desks, we're sitting more at the TV, we're moving less synovial fluid is being developed. Those muscles are becoming weak. The joints are becoming stiff. And that's where a lot of the inflammation and arthritis conditions come about.
Wow, thank you so much. This is a Spotlight Sunday, and I'm having the privilege of conversating with Sam Williams. I like to call him a community servant, community activist, because he has and he does take his time and his energy to share with the community at large where he lives. He says in Massachusetts, share with them his practices that have benefited him, as he shared with us three of them: yoga, meditation, as well as fasting. And I've put it all together, and I hear balance and harmony with yourself. Fasting, having control of when you eat, how you eat, giving your body a break. With meditation, helping to have control of your breathing in the different brain centers and the different your nervous system and other systems in your body that create balance. And then yoga, bringing physical balance, and as you said, preventing health issues that so many of us deal with. I want to thank you, Sam, for your time, for your energy, taking us through our breathing, taking nice breaths with us, and showing us some simple movements that we can do. Even if we're sitting at desks, computers, for hours, we can take a bit of time to do those simple 6 movements that he showed us of the spine. So I thank you so much, brother, for being here and for sharing. And I'd like to thank you once again for taking the time to be here. I'd like to say peace. I'm glad you could tune in. My name is Alicia, and this is Self-Centered Wellness. Till next time.